Vecna was always going to be the final villain. The Duffer Brothers planned this from day one. Fans dug through old interviews and found breadcrumbs dropped years before Season 4. Season 1's Demogorgon? Just a foot soldier. Season 2's Mind Flayer? A general following orders. Season 3's Flesh Monster? Another puppet. But here's what viewers missed. They all served the same master. Vecna wasn't a late addition. He was always there, pulling strings from the shadows. Fans even caught him in Season 1. Before Will crashes his bike, a shadow crosses the road. Not the Demogorgon. Something taller, more human. Vecna's silhouette, 3 seasons early. The creators admitted they mapped the entire mythology before filming started. 4 seasons of setup disguised as separate mysteries. Every gate, every possession, every supernatural death traces back to Henry Creel, the boy who hated humanity and became something worse. Season 5 isn't just another chapter, it's the destination they've been driving towards since Will disappeared in 1983. All those other creatures, just extensions of Vecna's will. Makes you wonder if there was ever a version where he didn't win. But his origin story might be hiding something darker than anyone realized. Vecna killed his family because he was possessed first. The Creel House murders happened in 1959. Henry slaughtered his mother and sister, then framed his father. But fans noticed something wrong. The lights flickered that night. The grandfather clock ran backwards. Classic upside-down signatures. Except 11 wouldn't open the gate for another 20 years. So how was the upside down already bleeding through? The theory suggests the barrier was never perfect. A hairline crack always existed. Invisible, but there. Henry wasn't just psychic. He could sense frequencies others couldn't. And something on the other side sensed him back. It whispered visions, promised power, demanded payment. The murders weren't Henry's choice. They were a sacrifice required by whatever lurked in that cold dimension. When Brenner found Henry, he thought he was collecting a disturbed child. Vecna and 11 are 2 halves of the same person. Not literally, metaphorically. Both raised in Hawkins' lab. Both calling Brenner Papa. Both wielding identical powers. The difference? 11 chose love. Vecna chose hate. Henry lived in isolation. No friends, just white rooms and experiments. When he escaped to the Upside Down, he embraced becoming a monster because that's all he'd learned to be. Meanwhile, 11 found Mike in the woods. Found friends who showed her Eggo waffles. Found Hopper. Every time her powers spike, she's protecting someone she loves. Fans think Brenner designed this deliberately. He knew what he'd created in Henry. Pure potential corrupted by isolation. So with 11, he built a countermeasure. Same powers, opposite foundation. Every test, every moment of her childhood was preparation for facing Henry. 2 experiments, 2 paths, 1 choosing destruction, 1 choosing protection. The perfect psychological chess match disguised as a supernatural war. By the way, if you like movies and TV content like this, I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe. It helps more than you know. But 11's connection to Vecna might be more literal than symbolic. Vecna is 11's biological father. This theory broke Reddit. The timeline barely works. But it works. Henry lived in Hawkins' lab from 1959 to 1979. 20 years under Brenner's control. What if the numbered children weren't random test subjects? What if Brenner harvested Henry's DNA? 11's mother, Terry Ives, volunteered for MK Ultra experiments while pregnant. Official story. They gave her drugs to enhance her child. But what if they gave her Henry's genetic material? Creating a second generation, stronger, but more controllable. Fans started comparing faces, the bone structure, how both 11 and Vecna tilt their heads identically when using powers. Both bleed from the same nostril, subtle details that line up disturbingly well. If true, Season 4 wasn't just good versus evil, it was daughter versus father. A child breaking free from inherited violence. The ultimate family dysfunction across dimensions. And if Vecna really is her biological father, are her powers growing because she's becoming like him? Or can she destroy him precisely because she carries his blood? And family connections might explain why Vecna targets specific types of victims. Vecna only kills people who remind him of his family. Look at the pattern. Chrissy Cunningham, perfect cheerleader hiding an eating disorder, controlled by a mother who demanded perfection. Sound familiar? Henry's mother tried to fix him too. Fred Benson, consumed by guilt over killing someone in a car accident. Just like Henry's father, blamed for murders he didn't commit. Patrick McKinney, abused at home, flinching at every raised voice. Henry knew that fear intimately. And Max Mayfield, drowning in survivor's guilt after Billy died. The same guilt Henry carried about his sister Alice. Vecna doesn't pick victims randomly. He hunts echoes of his own trauma, people whose pain mirrors the Creel family's final days. Some fans think it's unconscious. He's drawn to familiar suffering like a moth to flame. Others believe it's deliberate revenge. He's killing his family over and over, punishing the world for the childhood that broke him. Every murder is a reenactment. The controlling mother, the guilty father, the innocent sister, the trapped son. Vecna's not just opening gates to merge dimensions. He's stuck in 1959, settling the same score forever. And the party never noticed they were watching a family massacre on repeat. But his method of killing reveals something even more sinister about his powers. Vecna feeds on trauma to stay alive. The kills aren't just strategic, they're sustenance. Fans started tracking his appearance after each murder. Post Chrissy, his skin looked less decomposed. After Fred, the rot around his jaw healed slightly. Patrick's death restored muscle tissue. It's vampiric. He's literally consuming their pain to regenerate. That's why the curse visions last so long. He's not torturing victims for pleasure. He's harvesting, mining their worst memories, extracting every drop of guilt, fear, and self-hatred. The elaborate psychological mazes aren't overkill. They're dinner preparation. The deeper the trauma, the more nourishment he gets. This explains why music breaks the connection. It's not about happiness overcoming darkness. Music disrupts the feeding process. When Max heard running up that hill, she didn't defeat Vecna emotionally. She cut off his food supply. He lost his grip because the meal was interrupted. Think about it. Every victim gets trapped in their worst memory, while Vecna literally consumes their life force through that pain. He's not a monster. He's a parasite, and trauma is his host. And if Vecna built the Upside Down, what was he building it for? Vecna is creating a new world for outcasts and rejects. He's not destroying humanity, he's replacing it. Listen to his monologues. He despises society's performance. The fake smiles hiding real cruelty. The nuclear families that breed dysfunction. The small-town values that crush anyone different. To him, Hawkins represents everything wrong with our world. Conformity disguised as community. The Upside Down isn't hell. It's his blueprint for paradise. A place where monsters don't hide what they are. Where the weak die and the strong evolve. No more pretending. No more lying. Just brutal, honest existence. Vecna sees himself as a liberator. Every person he kills, he's freeing from a slow social death. Fans think Season 5 will reveal his ultimate offer. Join him in building this new world, or die defending the old one. He'll target society's rejects. Kids like Eddie who never fit in, people like Max carrying unbearable guilt. He genuinely believes he's saving them. The gates aren't invasion points. They're merge sites. He's not conquering Earth, he's evolving it. And he thinks the party should thank him for it. And his plan for reshaping reality might involve the show's most mysterious location. The Creel House is a portal that's always been open. It's the only structure that exists perfectly in both dimensions. No decay in the upside-down version, no vines consuming it like it's protected, or like it belongs to both worlds simultaneously. Fans started researching the house's history. Indigenous peoples avoided that land for centuries. Early settlers reported lights in the sky, sounds from underground. The Creels weren't the first family to die there. The theory goes deeper. The house was built on a dimensional weak point, a natural overlap between realities. When Henry murdered his family in 1959, his psychic energy didn't create the connection. It activated something already there. The house had been slowly bleeding between worlds for decades. That's why nobody ever stays, why it remains abandoned while Hawkins grows around it. Vecna didn't randomly choose it as his base. He returned to the source, the original crack. Fans believe destroying the house might seal everything, every gate, every connection. But here's the catch. The house exists in both dimensions. To destroy it, they'd need to attack it from both sides simultaneously. But closing gates might not be possible if another character is working against the party. Dr. Brenner is alive and controlling Vecna remotely. His death felt wrong, too neat, too convenient. Brenner survived the Demogorgon massacre in Season 1 when everyone else died. Disappeared for years, then casually reappeared with a desert lab. The man's indestructible. Fans don't buy that a few bullets finally stopped him. Here's what viewers noticed. Brenner spent 20 years studying Henry, mapping his brain, learning his triggers. What if he implanted something? A psychic kill switch, a backdoor into Vecna's mind. Brenner always talked about control. What if he never lost it? The theory suggests Brenner faked his death using techniques from his own experiments. Body doubles, death simulating drugs. He's watching, waiting, ready to reveal that Vecna was never free, just operating within parameters Brenner established decades ago. He told Eleven she couldn't win without him. Maybe that wasn't a dying manipulation. Maybe it was literal. Season 5 might reveal the ultimate twist. Brenner's the only one who can stop Vecna because he's the only one who truly controls him. And he'll only help if they rebuild his lab, give him back his experiments, his power. The real villain was never the monster. It was the man who made him, and Brenner's obsession with control points to a disturbing truth about the numbers program. She died for over a minute. Heart stopped. Mind gone. 11 brought her back, but here's what fans noticed. Her eyes stayed blank. Her consciousness never returned, because part of her is still there, in the upside down, changing. When Max wakes in Season 5, she won't be human anymore. Not completely. The minute she spent dead was enough for infection. For evolution, she'll have abilities, Vecna's abilities, seeing through dimensions, sensing the hive mind, walking between worlds without gates, but she'll still be Max, fighting to stay herself while something else grows inside. Lucas won't know whether to embrace or fear her. 11 won't understand what she's become. Max will be the first successful hybrid, human consciousness hosting monster powers. She'll understand how Vecna thinks because part of her thinks like him now. That knowledge will save Hawkins. But the girl who loved Kate Bush and skateboarding? She's gone forever, replaced by something caught between two worlds, belonging to neither. Speaking of transformation, the Mind Flayer's role in Vecna's plan might be more complex than it appears. They made a deal. Season 4 wanted us to believe Vecna shaped the Mind Flayer from shadow particles, gave it purpose, made it his weapon. But fans aren't buying it. The Mind Flayer is ancient, older than Hawkins, older than humanity. When Henry arrived in the Upside Down, he didn't conquer this entity. He negotiated with it. Think about it. A cosmic intelligence meets a bitter psychic. Henry offers knowledge of Earth, access to billions of minds, fresh hosts to possess. In return, the Mind Flayer grants him power. Lets him play general, be the face of invasion. But it's not servitude, it's partnership. And partnerships end. Season 5's twist might be Vecna losing control. The Mind Flayer deciding it's learned enough. Doesn't need its human liaison anymore. Imagine Vecna realizing he was never the master, just another puppet who thought he held the strings. The party won't just fight one villain. They'll face the ancient thing that's been watching through every monster's eyes since Season 1. And Vecna will die knowing he was played. But have you ever thought Vecna might have already ensured that he's too strategic to be the only threat? Too intelligent to put everything on one battle? Those vines spreading through Hawkins aren't just consuming, they're gestating, growing something in the dark spaces between realities. Remember those floating particles in the Upside Down? The spores everyone assumed were atmospheric? Fans think they're eggs. Billions of them, waiting for the right conditions. Vecna's been seeding his successor since arriving in that dimension. Not a clone, not a child. Something entirely new, born from both worlds, carrying his mission but thinking independently. Season 5 could end perfectly. Vecna defeated, gates sealed, Hawkins saved, everyone celebrates. Credits start rolling. Then the final shot. Deep underground, where nobody's looking, something cracks open. Something breathes for the first time. The Duffer Brothers love their cliffhangers. Love showing that evil doesn't die, it evolves. Vecna's death won't be an ending. It'll be a beginning. The nightmare taking a new shape while the world thinks it's safe. So which Vecna theory sounds the most terrifying? Drop your darkest prediction in the comments, and let's see who's brave enough to guess what's really coming in Season 5.